want to show you how to change your fuel filter on your 3.4 liter V6 Toyota 4Runner. And this will be similar for the same years and the same engine. This one is actually a 2000 Toyota 4Runner. So the first step on this would be to disconnect your negative terminal on your battery and just move it off to the side. And that would be just for safety reasons. You're going to have 3 bolts for the panel that may cover where your fuel filter is at. You're going to have 1, 2, and 3, and those are 12 millimeter bolts. So once those are taken out and your panel is removed, you'll have access to your fuel filter. Now, some of the tools that you're going to be using, you want to have a catch pan for the fuel, some kind of penetrant to put onto the bolt or the fuel line right as it goes into the fuel filter. And then this is going to be a new fuel filter here. Now your part number may vary, but this is what it's going to look like. So most of these have a fuel flow indication, and you'll just want to make sure that if it does, it goes from your gas tank to the engine for the fuel flow. And then, like I said, you'll have a 12 millimeter socket that you're going to need for those bolts. You're going to need a 19 open end wrench to hold the fuel filter end. And then for your fuel lines, if you have this type of wrench, a flare wrench, 14 millimeter would be preferable. Or if you have a 14 millimeter open end, you can also do that. Just be careful not to round off the edges as you're taking those two out or apart. We'll go ahead and go under the vehicle. And we'll take a look at the fuel filter here. As you can see, I've already sprayed the fuel filter where it connects from the fuel line to the filter. And that way it'll just help it come out a little easier. And you're going to want to put that drain pan underneath here as you're working, because there will be a lot of fuel that's going to come out. And of course, make sure your engine's off, battery's disconnected just for safety, and make sure all that happens before you get started on this. And there will be a bracket around the fuel filter, so you'll need a 10 millimeter wrench just to take that top bolt out. But you'll want to disconnect the fuel lines first before you take that bolt out of the bracket. You'll put the 19 millimeter on the fuel filter, and then if you have a 14 millimeter, put that on the fuel line. Do the same thing on the other side. once you get both sides loose, you can work on getting that bolt out of the bracket. Now a 10mm ratcheting wrench would work the best if you have one. Here's that 10mm bolt. And then make sure your pan is centered. Before you disconnect this all the way. Now on this fuel filter, it does say in and out. So in would be from your fuel tank, and then out would be towards your engine. Now you might need some needle nose pliers just to hold that clamp together. That way you can put that bolt down into the bracket. When you get done with the fuel filter, you can put your negative terminal back on and tighten it down. And then we can start the engine and check for leaks at the fuel filter. Now if there are a few leaks, you may just need to tighten it a little bit more. And that should be it. Well, I hope this has been helpful.